Okay, we're good, Mark.
Okay.
Go ahead. Wait, let me hit record. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. The April 13, 2020 Forest Grove School District Board of Directors meeting is called to order at 6:25 p.m. The school board will take public comment via Google form. The link is on the board meeting page on the district website. Would you please join me in flag salute? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Introductions of audience and staff. If we could just go and do introductions here for those attending the meeting.
I'm Brenda Lindsay, and I'm the K-6 Math, STEM, and Health TOSA.
John O'Neill, Assistant Superintendent and parent.
Kimberly Shearer, Special Ed Director.
Is that it?
David Warner, Communications.
Oh, David Warner. Okay, David. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. Everybody, the board has had a chance to look at tonight's agenda. So can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I move that we approve tonight's agenda as presented.
I second.
Okay, all those, do we need a roll call vote on this, Kathy?
No, not on this.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Opposed? Okay. Correspondence and celebrations. Well, I don't see Siobhan there, so we won't do the student representative report tonight. So correspondence and oh, David?
Yeah, and I can wrap up the correspondence and the superintendent report. I have a bunch of thank yous to do, so I'll just step into that.
Okay.
I needed to just take a moment and say thanks to a lot of different folks. It's just about 30 days ago, 4 weeks, when we canceled school for the first time the week before spring break, and a lot has happened since then. And I just want to celebrate some of the folks in our organization for what they've been doing. First off, I want to thank the folks in teaching and learning for jumping in and working together to create first this supplemental learning plan, and then a week and a half into that, we switched directions with this distance learning for all, and they really jumped in and done a ton of work. Brenda, Elena, John, there's a whole bunch of teachers that were also involved in that process. Perla, I'm going to leave people out tonight, so I'm just going to try and get as many as I can. Next, I want to take a moment and say thanks to Toby, Leonard, Cassie, Christina Meineke. I'm sure there's other folks that have been involved, but they've been working on developing a whole list of professional developments that our employees, if they don't have other things already going on, they can step in and do some PD. A lot of our classified folks are involved with 321 Insight and ELD, and we've got GLAD, and we've got CM on there. So again, there's some folks who really worked hard to make sure that folks' downtime could be really valuable. Next, I got to thank our counselors. They've been working really hard to figure out how to maintain contact and really develop the social emotional learning for our students in this kind of distance learning context. So they've been working on that and reaching out to kids. I want to thank our administrators. In the last 4 weeks, I've had on 3 separate occasions walked in and told them the work they've just done for a week and a half is we're changing it and kind of go in a completely different direction. They've been patient, they've been proactive, in trying to make all of this work. So I appreciate that. To our employees, I want to express my sincere appreciation. They're trying to recreate how we instruct students offsite digitally with a timeline that no one could have imagined. And I'm sure we will continue to get better at this as we go along. We're not expecting perfection, but I just want to let them know we're going to give a lot of grace and we're going to learn a lot as we kind of move forward. So that's kind of my big set of thank yous there. And I'm sure I left somebody out. And I mean, again, our cabinet crew has really pulled together and done a lot of work. So I want to thank them. Some other pieces of information, graduation pathways. We've been waiting for some guidance to come out of ODE, and the senior graduation pathways came out last week. And basically what it says is that seniors, if they were passing whatever courses they were taking, if they were passing in the time between February 3rd, the start of the second semester, and March 12th, they're granted that credit. Then the state's going to leave all of the graduation requirements the same. Those are unchanged. 24 credits, 4 language arts, 3 math, 3 science, 3 social studies. You do not, they're going to release the requirement on the essential skills requirement and the personalized learning. But other than that, if whatever you earned between February 3rd and March 12th, you get credit for that. If you weren't passing, you get an incomplete. And all students who don't qualify to graduate right now or have incompletes, we have to, our high school staff will start meeting with each of them and creating a plan for them to graduate by August 31st. So we're now, high school got this information last week and they're in the midst of trying to get organized and get moving with this. In the meantime, they've also brought up their distance learning for all. Today was the first day, so they're off and rolling. Grades 9 through 11, I was expecting the guidance to come out this weekend. We've heard that it's similar in nature to the seniors, but I just wanted to let you know we're waiting, still waiting on that. From there, we'll also make some decisions about what we're doing in the 7th and 8th grade as far as grades go. But that's all coming out here in the next several days. Wanted to let you know that David Warner's been working on updating the website so visitors can easily locate key information. On the main page, a slideshow has been created to provide information on distance learning, meal distribution, community resources, with a technology help section coming soon. Each photo is hyperlinked to a specific key information. When the visitor clicks on a photo, it'll take them to the corresponding page. Technology-wise, I sent out in the Friday memo a lot of information about kind of how technology is rolling. One of the pieces of information that Enrique gave me today is they've done over 100 help sessions with parents and or kids. So again, lots of learning going on there. Lastly, the first responder and essential workers daycare, which is one of the 4 things that we have to have in place so that we can continue to get our revenue from the state so we can pay our employees. We put our application in last week and we were approved late on Friday as a emergency daycare. Local healthcare workers, first responders, and workers who are deemed essential can call 211 now, and 211 can get them placed into private daycare or into a school's daycare. Currently, there's about 2,000 local private daycare slots unutilized. So chances are they'll use those first before they stand up the rest of these school daycares. As those fill up, we'll receive a phone call from ODE and we have 3 days to open up our daycare. Cornelius is the first one to open. They were there today. We've got volunteers. We've got folks who, they were there today kind of training and coming up to speed. After that, we'll open one at Joe Gale and then at Echo Shaw, using the same kind of model that we have right now. But it's basically there and we're ready to go as soon as we get informed that they have people to put in our daycare. And that was a lot of superintendent stuff, but that's kind of where we're at right now. Questions?
Well, I just, on the seniors and the graduate, I'd forgotten that, that I always worked under the assumption that graduation's June 12th, but when you said August, I guess that makes sense. So the time period for students to complete the work is longer than because there's no graduation in June. So,
Yeah.
so
there's still some decisions to be made there, and we actually haven't made any official decision there, just waiting to see how things play out here. The state laid open that August 31st just because they're trying to make sure the kids aren't impacted by, I mean, their line of thought in all of their decision making so far is try and make it so the kids are not impacted by this closure.
Right. Okay. Any other questions from anybody? No? Okay. Let me get my agenda back up here. So, okay, Dave, thank you very much. Next is unscheduled public appearance. So the board appreciates community members sharing information during public comments. Are there any comments that have been received? And I guess they go through David Warner. So David?
Yeah, as of now, there are no comments in the Google form.
Okay, thank you. So the consent agenda is made up of routine, non-controversial items to be voted on under one motion. Are there any items within the consent items a board member or the superintendent wishes to discuss separately? And if not, can I have a motion to approve the consent?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Okay, I'll second. And roll call vote, Kathy, on this again?
Yes, please.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote on the approval of the consent agenda. So Val?
Aye.
Narce?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Brad? 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 Brad?
Brad, are you there?
Okay. Maybe he stepped
I'm
away.
texting him. He may have fell off here.
Okay. All right.
Or are you muted, Brad?
Well,
that would be good. I mean, if it's muted, but.
I'm a yes, and so we'll give Brad a moment to see if he's fell off.
Yeah, I see you fell off.
Okay. All right. Well, Kathy, what do we do?
It passes anyways.
It passes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just say that it passed 4-0, and when Brad gets back on, we'll put him back in the mix.
Okay. Let me, so I just received an email from Siobhan. I'm just reading it. So let me, since I'm now technically, okay. So I think I'll answer Siobhan after. She had a question, but I'll talk to Dave after the meeting about it.
Gotcha.
Okay. And it's just a question she had. So, all right, well, let's go on to presentations. And at this time, John O'Neill and Brenda Lindsay, a presentation on the health curriculum review. So I'll turn it over to you two.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to Brenda. She's done an amazing job with coordinating our health curriculum. As you know, we implemented the Great Body Shop grades K through 6, and the state laws have been ever changing. And the good thing about our new curriculum is it is updated annually to fit those laws. But Brenda's been instrumental in providing the necessary professional development and just-in-time support on a one-on-one basis or to an entire staff. She's put together a PowerPoint that she will share with you today, and we will answer any questions that you might have. Brenda.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and present my screen then. So, so here we go. First thing, this health curriculum and survey was initially led by Brian Hawkins, who I'd like to thank right now. And he got a team of teachers together to make sure that every grade level, K-6, was represented, as well as every school was represented. He also invited me to be a part of this leadership committee back in September of 2019. And he wanted to make sure that we had experts in every building, or at least someone that teachers could go to and say, that's my health leadership person for the building. This group came together then after we had ran for a few months with the Great Body Shop, and we came together and created survey questions, which were answered by teachers on January 31st. We asked for all K-6 teachers to respond to the survey, and 78% of our health teachers responded, which is pretty great results as far as getting results back from our teachers and staff. The first question we came up with was, how do you use the Great Body Shop? And 67 out of 70 teachers that responded either read the magazine whole class or in a small group setting. 2 teachers used the Great Body Shop as homework, and 1 teacher was not using it, although that answer, I believe, has changed since this survey was given. Our second question, we asked teachers how they use the online resources, or if they use the online resources, actually. And I was a little surprised to see that 90% of the 70 teachers that responded do not use the online resources yet. 10% do. This indicated to me that we need to offer more PD, which was planned actually for May 1st, our next PD day that was scheduled with teachers, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen this year, so it will probably be the August or September of next year when we come back. When we ask teachers when they're teaching the Great Body Shop, 56 out of 70 said they were teaching the Great Body Shop during content time. 10 out of 70 were using it during their reading time, during one of their reading days. And 4 were not using it during the school day. 2 of those were using it as homework only. And I'm not quite sure how the other 2 were using it during the school day, to be honest with you. But once again, that shows me we need PD to make sure teachers know how to use it and different ways they can use it and implement it in their classroom. When looking at the most effective part of the Great Body Shop, the majority of our teachers responded that the magazines are the most effective tool. I was surprised that bilingual content didn't have a larger response. And once again, that tells me we need to show our teachers what bilingual content is available and where to receive that. Are there any questions so far? When asked how we can improve the teaching, majority of our teachers told us we needed PD, which was not surprising. A few teachers mentioned time to teach, but not as many as I would have expected. I think we have provided that time for in a majority of our classrooms. We also gave this survey.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
About that one? So it looks like about almost a third had no comment. Is that right on the how can you improve the teaching? Is that I don't know. Is there anything to be read into that? They just didn't have you know?
Well, I think if they had strong objections to how the content was being taught or
Yeah,
the way it was being done, I think we would have seen a response.
okay.
Um,
I guess I didn't know if silence meant something. So,
I think in this case, silence wasn't a bad thing because
okay.
we're asking what improvements were needed, and our staff is pretty forthcoming. If we need to be making positive changes, they're
Okay.
not afraid to tell us, which is a great thing.
Okay. Okay.
But they were very adamant that they needed more PD, both in this survey and in our last math PD. We completed this survey right at the end of our last math PD, and that's how we were able to get 78% of our teachers to respond. And they said, we want to be better at teaching this curriculum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the committee that we talked about in the first slide, they asked if we could give this survey to grades 3 through 6 because we're finding that surveys are very difficult to administer to kindergartners, or maybe the results we're getting, it's just not an effective way to get survey results. So we asked if we could just do grades 3 through 6. And we had 73% of our students respond, which was over 1,300 students. The first question, 77.9% of our students said they're using the health magazine in their classroom. I found it a little strange that 14% did not know if they were using the health curriculum or not. They came up with a maybe answer. And we had 7% saying no. The second question, we asked if they shared the health magazine with their family when it was sent home. And 38% said yes, 62% said no. One teacher that I spoke with mentioned that she gave this survey to her class, and then she told me, she said, I didn't realize I was supposed to be giving this home as homework. So I think that's one more indicator that we need more professional development around our health curriculum. And unfortunately, in the hierarchy of needs, there were other things that took place before health, but I think health is one area that we do need to look for PD when we come back in the fall. So question 3 was only asked if you responded yes to question 2. That is why there are 1,306 responses to question 2 and only 496 responses for question 3. So it asks if you discussed the Great Body Shop magazine when it was sent home. So if you said, no, I didn't send it home, we didn't ask you question number 3 because obviously you wouldn't have discussed it if you didn't take it home. I do like that a majority of our students, when they take it home, we're discussing it with their families. The last question we asked, I felt like maybe we should have not had it be open-ended responses because it was really difficult to take those responses, especially since there were 1,306 of them, and put them into categories. But the number one response was the best part of health class was the magazines. They're small, they're colorful, they have easy to read articles. They're easy for class discussion. They have discussion questions available to teachers. Some of our younger students commented that they were learning smoking is bad and about good nutrition. Most had positive responses. There were very few I don't knows or blanks as far as the best part of health class, which was nice to see. Are there any questions on the student responses so far?
So Brenda, will you in the fall, is it planned that you'll do some PD with this?
Actually, PD was already planned for May 1st.
I heard that.
And yes, I would, I mean, this is something to discuss with John, but I would assume that PD that we had originally planned for May 1st would be something that happens in August or September when teachers come back.
And then if so, would you do a follow-up to see how people are?
I'm so sorry, I couldn't hear that question. Would I do a?
So if you did it like in August or September, would you do like a follow-up like in January, February
I think that would make perfect sense, and I would like to bring that committee back together and make sure we revise the survey so it's as meaningful as possible.
Okay, and part of this is that I'm thinking that we renewed this for 1 year. Are you guys, you and John, recommending that we do this for 5 more years?
I would definitely say renewing this health curriculum would be in the best interest of our students and our staff, and for our parents. I think another area where we need to improve on this is informing parents about our health curriculum.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, and Kate, I would say yes, that would be most desirable. We, based on the responses that we received from teachers and parents and students, we wanted to prioritize revisiting and addressing the areas that they've identified. Also, with this worldwide pandemic situation, what's really shown through for us and really helped is our math curriculum. Having the digital components, not only at the grade level, but also the extensions for students that are wanting to move ahead, that are, talented and gifted, as well as students that need to go to lower levels of math. What was really powerful about this is we have the health curriculum up to date has been, the news articles that we have, the little brochures that come out quarterly that address the curriculum, provide the curriculum, but also we have the capability of digital as well. So that's something that, we would definitely look at in terms of the supplemental learning materials, prioritizing that for our families and providing that access between now the next 2.5 months remaining, so that families can look at that. And it's extremely important and timely as we are dealing with a lot of issues as well, in terms of the stressors on the family and on the students, and the resources that this provides. So yes, ideally we would like to renew for 5 years. Because it is meeting our needs. It's also highlighted what we need to do next in terms of professional development to really maximize the outcomes that we've purchased.
Are there any other questions on the student survey before I move to the parent survey? And before I go any further in this, I'd like to thank David Werner, who helped me put the survey together and make sure it was sent out on helpful links for students and teachers, and then it was sent out to parents. The follow-up that for the parent survey, where we were hoping to get a majority of our responses, was at conferences, which once again did not happen. So you're going to see limited responses from parent surveys. We had 18 parents respond to question number 1. Did your child bring home the monthly magazine? Once again, question number 2, asking about discussing the health magazine, was only asked if you responded that yes, your child brought it home. It is nice to see that almost 78% of our students, when they bring it home, it's being discussed. However, it was a little disappointing that that only meant 9 responses total. Another nice feature from the Great Body Shop is they're updating those magazines annually. So we're making sure that we cover any laws that need to be covered. Everything is provided to students in a grade level friendly format. So some of the special topics that the Great Body Shop covers is social and emotional learning. And I've put all the SEL activities by grade level. I've provided those for you. It also talks about personal safety. It talks about bullying and sexual harassment at every grade level, K through middle school. We actually have purchased K through 6. And it talks about comprehensive gender education, as well as Oregon child sexual abuse prevention. And as laws change, the magazines change and they're updated. It's not a textbook that 20 years from now we're going to be blowing the dust off of. These are things that go home so our kids can talk to their families about what's being discussed in their health class.
So, Brenda, if I can interject just real quick, one of the laws is that we address sexual education and sexual violence in developmentally appropriate means in every grade level. And this really helps us be fully compliant with that legislation. Also, I want to give a big shout out. You know, when we talked about this curriculum, we've had a lot of support, and Brenda's led that work. Brian Hawkins have led that work. But also, I want to give a shout out to Melinda Wenzel, because Melinda did a fantastic job developing a 7th grade curriculum, which has been provided this year, and she helped create, she created the whole thing for 7th grade. We offer an 8th grade curriculum, but that was a big gap that we had, and thank goodness we have her skills, knowledge, and expertise as being the 8th grade health teacher for many years, and she was able to put that in her spare time over winter break this year for us, and the administration at NAMS and the counselors delivered that this year. But what's great about this Great Body Shop is it provides this resource to our parents, students, and teachers in a developmentally appropriate way, addressing some very, very complex and challenging issues, and also allows us to be fully compliant with state mandates.
So that's pretty much the end of our health presentation, unless there's any questions we could answer.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a couple of comments. I think it's very apparent that the teachers really would like to see some professional development with this curriculum. That was the key thing that I was noticing. Also, I'm not really sure where we stand with the SIA funds, but part of the plan was to be hiring these behavioral and mental health specialists and to be hiring more counselors. It seems like that would be a good time to be rolling out a lot of this curriculum. I don't know what you guys think about that, but it seems like a lot of things that should be covered maybe by them, or at least by people that have been trained and gone over this curriculum and such better.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Val. When we purchased the Great Body Shop, we also purchased the Second Steps counseling program, and that's the K-6 comprehensive guidance counseling program that they deliver directly to classrooms and students. But you're absolutely right, and they've done a great job, Kim Shearer and Kathy, with coordinating those efforts. So, and alignment efforts. But it is very important that we incorporate those resources and personnel to help lead and guide this work moving forward.
Hey, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you remind me the cost of the body shop, please?
Oh my goodness, I believe off the top of my head.
If you don't remember, you can just shoot me a text at some point.
Will do.
Okay.
If I can do that tomorrow, that'd be great.
That's fine, John. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, any other questions?
So I just maybe expand just a little
Okay.
bit. Val asked a question about social emotional learning and who was going to present it, and the systems that we're creating with SIA will actually address some of those pieces. And I'm not going to get very far in describing it, but Cassie, I'm sure, could kind of begin to describe. I know Kim's also done a lot of work with the MTSS system and how social emotional learning will roll out. And no matter what our investment is, the plan is still created. So now it's just a matter of how long it's going to take us to do that investment. But I just wanted to make sure that Val knew that the social emotional learning part of this, we've got good, strong plans put together on this that we'll start putting together, maybe quicker, maybe slower. It just kind of depends on what the level of investment is.
That's great. I would just also remind some of those people and the other teachers that there are extra tools to be using with this program. That was another thing that I noticed in the presentation. It doesn't really seem that we're utilizing all those extra tools as much as we could and should be.
Agreed.
I would totally agree, Val. And I think that's also part of where PD comes in, because if you aren't comfortable using them, you're not going to use them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you, John and Brenda, for that presentation. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Our pleasure. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item is an action item, and it's a superintendent evaluation letter. I'm gonna read the letter from the board, and then after reading the letter, I'll ask for a motion to approve that, and we'll go on from there. So the letter is dated April 13th, 2020, and this is to Superintendent Dave Parker. Any evaluation of Dave's job performance would be remiss if not addressing his leadership in a time of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. This is something that has not been seen in our generation, and its impact on education has been catastrophic. He has demonstrated his outstanding skills as a communicator, collaborator, and decision maker during this crisis. His leadership during this time has consistently been focused on students and staff. He has led with concern and compassion for others, both in the organization and in the community. The board lauds Dave for his leadership during these trying times and thanks him for working tirelessly for the benefit of others. Dave leads the district by exemplifying a high ethical standard in all of his interactions. A hallmark of his leadership style is a willingness to listen, seek common ground, collaborate, and act. As a result, labor relations have been productive and positive. The board appreciates his open style and willingness to institute change for the betterment of the organization. We further recognize and applaud that the health of the district has been positively impacted under his leadership. Moving forward, Dave will need to implement both a strategic plan and the Student Success Act. This includes the important aspects of positively impacting instruction across the district. We see it important that he articulates this over the course of the next year by having a presence in the schools and in the community. Increased outcomes for all students are an expectation moving forward. In closing, the board extols Dave for his leadership and commitment to the students, staff, and community of the Forest Grove School District. As a result, we are very pleased to extend Dave a 3-year contract as our superintendent. Respectfully submitted, Mark Everett, Board Chair. So at this time, if I can get a motion to approve the letter.
I move that we approve the letter for his evaluation.
Yep.
I second.
Okay, and a roll call vote again, Kathy, probably. Kathy?
Yep. Yes, please.
Yep. Okay. All right. So Val?
Aye.
Narce?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Brad? Brad?
Hi.
Okay, good. Okay.
Gee, man. Christmas.
And I'm an I as well. So thank you. Thank you very much. And Kathy, I'll forward, you need a copy of that letter. Is that correct, Kathy?
Yes, please. Yeah, I need it for Dave's file and then to put on the webpage.
Yes. Okay. Right. And
Thank
Dave,
you.
probably, will you give Dave a copy then as well?
I will do that. Yep.
Okay, let's see, what else do we have here? Future board items, board discussion. I don't know if there are any, it's open for board to discuss. Any future items?
Can I say just a couple of things, Mark?
Yes.
I just wanted to thank everybody publicly. I've enjoyed my year and a half in this district, and you know, it's been amazing to watch our district come together under tough times here. And yeah, it doesn't feel, I mean, there's lots of challenges right now, but it feels good to go to work and work with people who are trying to overcome, and everybody's pulling together. And so while it is a really challenging time, I can say that in this district, it feels like we're making progress. And I hear you on that I need to have a positive impact on instruction, and that's what I'll put my effort after. So I, again, just wanted to thank all of you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Thank you. Okay, future board items or board discussion. Now's the time. It's open for anybody. And if not, then we'll, I guess, enrollment. Dave, do you have anything on that? Or
So we did get late in the week, last week, we did get some guidance around enrollment, and here's the key points here. They're going to continue to pay us through the end of this year based on our December enrollment. And then with the start of next year, they will reinstitute, you know, the attendance checks to pay us based on our ADMR. And so that was a piece of news we've been kind of waiting for, is to figure out exactly how they were going to determine what those revenue payments were. So there's some other little pieces here around enrolling. Currently, because of schools kind of stopped, we aren't really enrolling new students. We're not. So there's been some challenges because we still have people moving into Forest Grove. And so we do need to get them enrolled and get them involved. So they gave us some guidance around how to deal with some of those issues.
Do we need to talk about at all how many spots we're going to open up for people that want to try to do out-of-district transfers?
Yes, we've pushed. Normally, we would have already had that conversation. We're pushing that conversation right now. I think we're looking at a May to June timeframe for our transfer process. Kathy, can you provide us a couple of details there?
Yes, I will bring you some information for the April 27th meeting so you can start discussing it. I'll work with John to get it out to principals just to get their input on what they want to do for their building. And then we'll make the slots in and out. You'll determine those at the May 11th meeting. And then our window will be May 15th through June 12th to go from there.
So when should people be applying for that?
The forms and everything, once you guys determine how many slots you will open up into the district and how many we're going to let leave, then they will be able to apply May 15th through June 12th.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
I have a question about Kinder Roundup. I'm seeing on Facebook, people are trying to figure out where do they sign up?
So we just began to talk about that. We were trying to do this digitally, but we're going to have to do it a different way. David and Michelle Ornelas will kind of come together with some kind of digital process, because we can't bring people into the buildings right now. And so there'll be, I don't know if David's even had time to talk about that yet, but the plan would be to do this basically remotely.
Yeah,
I have a meeting scheduled with Michelle for tomorrow, and I can hopefully we'll have some brainstorm ideas on how to take care of that, digitally also, and have a paper component for those who don't have access to the internet. So hopefully we can have more information here soon.
Right. The things that you've posted on Facebook have been very good. So post the dates, times, and what you're doing on Facebook, because a lot of people read that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This is Narce. This might have been mentioned already, and I might have missed it. I'm sorry. Are there any plans on what the high school graduation may look like, and what would the role of the elected board members be?
Yeah, so that one's still, we have not canceled it. We haven't done anything yet. We're kind of waiting to see how some of this plays out. I think the idea of bringing together 5,000 people, even in June, seems pretty remote. So there are other groups that are beginning to talk about either pushing it back towards later in the summer where you still might bring people together. There's also folks that are talking about kind of digital ways of honoring our kids. So there's a lot of brainstorming going on right now, but we haven't come to any kind of decision. And there's a whole series of, there's scholarships, and there's the awards night, and so there's a lot of different activities that we're still trying to kind of get a handle on. The high school's been hammering though on just, there's so much to figure out at the high school level, even just around grades and how do we connect with the kids. The first run through, and it's a very rough run through, it was about 180 kids that we've got to do something with to get them to the finish line. So, and before, when we were under the supplemental education part of this, it was closer to about 80 to 90 kids. So it's this distance learning piece it's a pretty, we've got a lot of work to do. So they're off and figuring it out.
Okay.
Did I answer your question, Narce? I kind of talked around a bunch of different things there, but.
No, yes, you did. Is there any particular expectation of a deadline of a deadline decision for that, for whatever the graduation might be, virtual or
let me work on that. What I know is, I know people have, normally it's people come from all over, and there's big crowds there. So I know there's kind of like, we've got to make a decision pretty far out in the future. It's just that things have been changing so quickly. So it's been hard to kind of get a handle on things right now. So let me see if I can come talk with the high school folks and come to an agreement on like, what is our timeline on that.
I don't need, don't feel any pressure from me. I was just wondering, Dave, that's all.
Yep. No problem. We need to figure it out sooner or later. It's just, so let me work on that.
Okay. Any other comments or questions or? Okay. If not, there being no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 7:14 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.